The full economic impact of Cyclone Gabrielle on farmers, as well as wine, fruit and veggie growers in Hawke's Bay and Tairāwhiti, is only now being understood.
Karen Rutherford visited the war room where industry representatives and banks are crunching the numbers on crop losses, which may hit consumers hard.
After another deluge last night, Hawke's Bay produce is still bobbing out to sea. Across town in what's now known as the War Room, the Rural Advisory Group has everyone from banks to beekeepers around the table, and they're mapping out a way forward.
Fruit growers, wine growers, veggie growers, everyone.
Only now, 2 weeks on, are these sectors getting the full picture of stock and crop losses. New Zealand's two major processors of fruit and veg, for instance, estimate only 30% of the crops they draw from here remain.
We've lost some really big areas, over 2,500 hectares of crop initially. If we extrapolate that out into something that some people could make sense of, it's 25 kilometres long by a kilometre wide, fresh and processed vegetables flooded.
A $40 million hit just to the vegetable sector.
This was a sweet corn crop bound for McCain's frozen produce. 90% of New Zealand's sweet corn is grown here in Hawke's Bay and Tairāwhiti. 80% of the country's beans come from here. 100% of all butternut pumpkins bound for Watty's soup. And 100% of all processed tomatoes come from Hawke's Bay.
There is already a supply buffer in place with processed tomatoes and onions, but fresh sweet corn and squash will be off the menu for some time. Beans will need to be imported.
They will be replaced with imported produce, and the last thing that we want to see is that imported produce replacing us in the future.
A future focused on regenerating soil and planting again by spring. But it's the pioneering days of old sheep and beef farmers like Rob Poulton may need to revert to. Access to his bridges is gone. Droving stock out across rivers may be the only option to get them off to the works and the sale yards.
It's going back to the old days, and yeah.
But you'll do what you got to do.
We'll do what we have to do.
He needs to get 500 lambs a month onto stock trucks between now and July. Cattle too.
Cattle are easier than sheep because cattle we can get them across the rivers.
Farmers like Poulton and officials back at the War Room are mindful too of the latest roading access headache for stock, a new slip today on the Napier-Taupo Road.
We'll probably see perhaps shuttling of stock on smaller trucks to an area where we can load them up with bigger trucks. But yeah, droving could be on its way back.
A return to days of old. But here, they'll do anything just to get back on their feet.
And Karen, you're outside a community meeting in Napier. It's not about veggies, but about violence. What's happening there?
That's right, Mike. The Police Minister, Stuart Nash, has just arrived to a full house. The community is here, standing room only inside. They're here to air their concerns over gun violence and looting in this community since Cyclone Gabrielle. You'll remember about a week ago there were allegations of pistols being pointed at road workers and a lot of people feeling very unsafe with cars driving around stealing things. Now, the Police Minister at the time said that he was very concerned about the gangs. He issued a directive to them to get their goons off the street and get out there with the wheelbarrows and help. The Prime Minister since came back and said that he felt that these were third or fourth hand accounts of what was going on and cast doubt on whether the incidents actually happened. The police are also at pains to point out that crime is still at a fairly low level here since the cyclone. So people here, though, they still feel unsafe and they're after answers tonight, Mike, and they've come here to get them from the Police Minister.
Karen, thank you.